Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of The Spotlight. I am one of your hosts, Kente, all the way live from Los Angeles, California, and I'm here with my co-host. I'm going to start off with the one and only Olaf Barbosa. How are you doing, Olaf?
I am doing great. It's like it's been a crazy week here in the great state of Indiana. It's like a lot of things going on, but I'm doing good. Glad to be here.
I'm glad that you are here. And if people are wondering what is up with his beard, yes, he is going to be Santa Claus once again at the end of the year, pet Santa Claus. So that's what's going on with Olaf and his beard. Also, we have Arpo. How you doing, Arpo?
Oui, mon capitaine. Well, this week I went into the Psychotronic Encyclopedia myself and found a movie from the Inner Sanctum series. Now, for those of you who are not ancient like myself, Inner Sanctum was a radio show, an anthology of stories to strike terror into the hearts of men. And they took some of those scripts and made them into movies, all of them starring Lon Chaney Jr., and this week happens to be one of those movies, come on, get up there, A Frozen Ghost, woo, woo, scary, woo. The movie. Oh, there she is. Hi, Shantae. Oh, I've missed you. My heart's just beating out of my chest. Okay.
You sure know how to make a girl feel welcome.
Of course. So, Lon Chaney Jr. plays Gregor the Great, a hypnotist who gets heckled one night during his show. So rather than using his partner, who is supposedly telepathic when she's under his spell, he invites this drunk from the audience that's heckling him to come up on the stage, something that Zack would probably never do, wisely, and starts to hypnotize him, and the man drops dead on the stage. So now Gregor is convinced that his eyes hold the stare of death, and he doesn't want to do his act anymore, and he ends up hiding out in this bizarre little wax museum full of very eccentric people, so, he fits right in. And there's murder mysteries and subterfuge and controversy and conspiracy and all kinds of stuff before they can finally get to the end of the movie, which is actually only just over an hour long because, it's based on a half-hour radio script. There's only so much padding you can do. The movie is kind of so-so, but it's always great to see Lon Chaney performing, because the man was a truly great actor. And although, like his father, he was a man of 1,000 faces, it was also fun to see him without one of his 1,000 faces, just being himself and really acting. So, this movie definitely gets a positive review from me. And it's one that I do recommend if you can find it. It's hard to find. But if you can find it, I found it, then by all means, you should check it out, because it's great fun. And, hey, if you're a fan of Lon Chaney Jr., then how can you not watch it? Now,
So
I was promised... Yes?
I was about to say, so in other words, if we can't find it and we want to watch it, contact you.
That's right. Come over to my place. Come over to my house, baby. All right. I was promised that I could very quickly run, since I did all the work last week and then had my internet shut off. Long story. So I could quickly run through my top 10 films of the 70s. I have the 10. I took one film from each year. So My number 10 film is from 1978, Halloween, because it really rejuvenated the slasher mode. I also picked the worst film for each year. 1978, it happened to be Rabbit Test, about a man getting pregnant. Enough said.
Yeah.
My ninth place, 1973, the first American film theater production, The Iceman Cometh, with Lee Marvin. It was really an excellent movie, but it was also 3.5 hours long. Down at the bottom of the list for that year, we have The Baby, about a psychologist dealing with a family who have kept this grown man as a baby. He can't talk. He wears diapers. He's... Oh my God, it's me! Coming in at number 8 from 1977, Cross of Iron. A very good war movie about a group of German soldiers who basically piss off their commanding officer and so don't get the order to retreat and wake up one morning to discover that they are now behind the Russian front and have to try to get to safety. Worst movie for 1977? Exorcist II, The Heretic, with Richard Burton in a drunken stupor throughout. Coming in at number 7, Let It Be, which was meant to be a documentary of the Beatles on how they go through their songwriting and recording process, but in the subtext, it's really a movie about a band about to split up. And you can see it in this movie so clearly. Worst movie in 1970? What else could it be? Hercules in New York with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
But they decided to dub his voice like this because he probably didn't sound enough like Hercules.
Coming in 6th place, 1972, The Ruling Class with Peter O'Toole as a man who inherits a dukedom even though he's in an insane asylum believing that he is Jesus Christ. Worst movie from 1972, Ray Milland and Rosie Greer playing The Thing with Two Heads, which was basically Ray Milland just putting his head on Rosie Greer's shoulder throughout most of the movie. In 5th place, from 1974, Roman Polanski's tribute to noir, Chinatown, with great performances by the entire cast, but especially Jack Nicholson as Jake. The worst movie from that year, Spies, spelled S*P*Y*S, because it starred Elliot Gould and Donald Sutherland, and the studios were trying to repeat the success they had had with MASH. It didn't. Coming in at number 4, in 1971, the almost unlikely romantic movie ever made, Harold and Maude, about a young teenager who falls in love with an 80-year-old woman. The worst movie from that year, with the improbable title, and the longest title so far of any movie I've put on these lists, Who is Harry Kellerman and why is he saying those terrible things about me? With Dustin Hoffman attempting to be a Bob Dylan clone. Coming in at number 3, from 1975, we have Jack Nicholson again in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Absolutely brilliant performances all through the entire cast. Truly outstanding film. Worst film that year, another big name cast in The Devil's Reign, the first movie with John Travolta in it, which, when he became famous, they actually re-released it, also starring John Travolta, even though he's only in about 3 seconds of the movie, going, ah! As his face melts.
I need to get a gift.
In second place, 1979's The Tin Drum, an absolutely powerful anti-war film about a young boy who throws himself down a flight of steps so he won't grow older because he has seen war and come to the conclusion that to be an adult is to be insane. Worst movie that year? Unlike me to put a James Bond film on a list like this, but boy, does Moonraker ever qualify. And finally, in the number one position, my number one pick for best movie of 1976, Taxi Driver. A riveting performance by a young Robert De Niro, and a movie that had its effect would still be felt many years later when John Hinckley attempted to assassinate Ronald Reagan to prove that he was in love with Jodie Foster. My, what a great film. And the worst film from 1976? Anybody remember seeing Bugsy? Now, I'm not talking about the one with Warren Beatty. I'm talking about the musical, Bugsy, with an all-child cast, including Jodie Foster. So she's in the best and worst movies of that year.
I've seen it. I have seen it.
Truly horrible.
Yeah, that.
So there you have it. And next week on Real Discoveries, very quickly, we're off to see the Wizard, the Wonderful Wizard of Mars. Yes, the Wizard of Oz gets a sci-fi treatment with John Carradine playing the Wizard of Mars. This is one I ran into while I was actually looking for something else, and I said, hey, could be fun, could be disastrous. We'll find out next week. But now we'll turn things back over to the rest of the gang, Kente, Olaf, and Kitty.
Kitty!
We've missed
all right,
you so.
all right. Yes, and welcome back to the show, Kitty. We've missed you. See your smiling face. It's only right that she comes on when football season kicks off tonight. So I'm glad that you are here and joining us. And
football season's tonight. Whoa!
Yep, starts tonight.
We were talking about the 70s, right? And I just saw a documentary that I've been meaning to see for the longest. And just as a side note, it's called "The Kid Stays in the Picture." I don't know if you guys are familiar with this documentary about the famous producer, and he ran Paramount Studios, Robert Evans. It's a terrific film, and I recommend you guys seeing it. He was the studio head when they did the Godfather, Love Story, the Italian Job, the original, obviously, and produced Chinatown as his first job as a producer, as well as Cotton Club and some other films too. It was a really excellent documentary, and I suggest you guys check that out. If you are a film buff and you like not old Hollywood, but 70s Hollywood, 60s and 70s Hollywood. All right, so now that we got that out the way, tonight we will be talking. It's all about the 80s, and we will be going over our list of the top 10 films of the 80s. And the way that we do it is we start off with 10 through 6, and we'll go around the room going 10 through 6, and I think we will start off with Olaf.
Now, before we begin, I have to warn you, I could only narrow my list down to 14.
What we do though when we get to the top 5, we will have the honorable mentions.
Okay.
We'll just talk about our honorable mentions.
Okay. Well, I guess I need to number them then.
All right. So Olaf,
It's like,
we will start with you. We'll start with your number 10 through 6.
alrighty, for number 10, we have Fatal Attraction. It's again for number 9, Arthur. I thought that was pretty good. It's like, and then for number 8, I had some trouble trying to pick this may not be in like an exact order of what I like, but it's just kind of, it's hard to, you give us these things to do, and sometimes it's kind of hard to figure out where you want to put these different movies. So, but number 8, I've got Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and number 7, really like this movie a lot. It's like Driving Miss Daisy. Thought that was just a good movie. And for number 6, Stand By Me.
Stand By Me. All right. Stand By Me, terrific film. And, I think, I don't know if it's underrated, but I love the film quite a bit.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to like Stand By Me. There's a lot of, it's a good movie, and I think it kind of has a lot of good, the situations in it, the good character building things in it. I think it's just a really good film.
Okay. So just to let people know, also when this segment's over, we will be bringing back our guest, Zach. He's found a more stable area for his Wi-Fi. So, and we'll finish that interview. So we'll give Kitty a little bit of time to add the numbers to our list. We'll go to Arpo. What's your number 10 through 6?
All right, coming in at number 10, a World War I movie, an early movie of Mel Brooks. Mel Gibson, Gallipoli. Great true story from 1981. And the worst movie from that year, by the way, is one I've actually reviewed on the show, Student Bodies. It just barely edged out Saturday the 14th, let me tell you. Coming in at number 9, we have from 1986, Hoosiers. I'm just a sucker for a good true story. Worst movie of 1986, Labyrinth. Ugh, evil.
Wow.
Yes, it is. Oh God, there goes any hope I ever had with her. Coming in 8th place from 1980, Breaker Morant. Based on the play and just a great series of performances all the way around. Worst movie from 1980, unmistakably, Holy Moses. A waste of celluloid and a waste of the talent of, oh crap, what's his name? He played Arthur, the original Arthur.
Dudley Moore.
Dudley Moore. Thank you so much. Coming in at number 7, 1983's Zelig, with Woody Allen insinuating himself into actual newsreel footage to tell the story of a little Jewish guy who just happened to always be in the right or wrong place at the right or wrong time. Worst movie from 1983, The Curse of the Pink Panther. A Pink Panther movie that not only doesn't have the Pink Panther in it, but doesn't even have Inspector Clouseau.
That's why it's The Curse.
That's right. And coming in at number 6, from 1987, one of the better war movies, in my opinion, Full Metal Jacket. Maybe I'm just a sucker for Kubrick. Now, for worst film, I could have jumped on the boat with everybody else and said Ishtar, but no. Absolutely, the worst film of 1987, Leonard, Part 6.
Leonard Part 6. It's classically bad. All right, Kitty, what's your 10 through 6?
10 through 6. Now, I only have my likes. I didn't have my dislikes.
Right, yeah.
Number 10 at the list, who somebody thought was a horrible movie. I don't know what taste he has is. It's Labyrinth. I happen to enjoy it very much. Huge fan of it. Number 9, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Great. Number 8, we have Die Hard, excuse me. Number 7, a lot of people do not appreciate this movie. I don't understand why. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? I enjoyed that movie. And number 6, we have Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm. Number 6, Ghostbusters. That's good. Good. Getting off to a great start. I'll do mine. Number 10 on my list is Die Hard from 1988. Terrific film. It basically set Bruce Willis up for his second career after Moonlighting. Terrific film. One of the, action classic. Number 9 is The Terminator from 1984. Classic movie. Had one of the greatest sequels of all time. Just terrific film. Number 8 is Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing from 1989. Once again, another fantastic film from director Spike Lee. Number 7 is, I think, the best Star Wars movie that there is. Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back from 1980. Clearly the best film of all the Star Wars films. And actually, George Lucas did not direct that film. So that says a lot right there.
Yeah, must have probably had a lot to do with that. Yeah.
Right.
And he didn't write it either. So
right. So that tells a lot why that film was so much better than its predecessor, and also the best of the 7 films already been released. And number 6. 1984 is A Nightmare on Elm Street. When I was a kid, Freddy was the man, and every week it seemed like every week, but every year we look forward to the newest Freddy film. And Nightmare on Elm Street was unlike anything I had seen before. Robert Englund, is a terrific actor. Just killed it. I meant that. As Freddy, as Johnny Depp, one of his early performances. Just a really good film.
Yes. For all you Johnny Depp haters, you get to see him slice and dice in that movie.
Actually, no, you don't. You get to see him pulled into the bed, and then you get to see a fountain of blood.
Right. Okay. But what would be funny though? I wouldn't mind seeing. How Johnny Depp loves the prosthetics and stuff like that. He probably would do an interesting Freddy Krueger. I'm just saying. So maybe not in a movie, but maybe like a Funny or Die sketch or something like that. So,
or if Tim Burton ever does a reboot of the story.
Right.
Oh God, please no.
I can see Johnny Depp playing Freddy Krueger.
I can too, but I think it might take the nostalgia out of it.
Yeah, that's true. If we, that other guy who did it, what's his name? E. Hurley or Early or whatever his name is. He's actually a good actor, but oh
my God, one of the best. He is one of my favorite creature, creature/villain actors.
He is, and I felt bad for him because it's hard to be Freddy after you can step in to be Jason or Michael Myers because it's not a performance like where you're acting and emoting and stuff like that. So
I think
to come in as Michael though, Freddy Krueger, that's a lot tougher, I think, than even those characters. Not to take nothing away from the people who went on to do Jason. I don't want them coming after me. And if I ever go to a convention,
Kurt did it the most, and he's got that big hulking shape that is just so Jason. He was also in a trio of movies called Hatchet.
Right.
Hatchet,
he also did
Hatchet 3.
He also did a small part on the series Charmed. I really loved him in the Charmed series. He was he did one episode that really stands out, and he plays a wizard who shrinks women, puts them in pottery clay, and then cooks them.
Yum.
That's exactly what I would expect a wizard to do. Okay, so here we go. Now we're gonna do it like this. We're gonna do our 5 through 2, and we're gonna all do our number 1 all together. Together.
Did Olaf get his first 4 or his 10 through 6 out?
Yeah, he did.
Yes.
So, but we're gonna start off first with honorable mentions. We're gonna just quickly run through our honorable mentions, and then go more in depth with our 5 through 2. So, Olaf, the stage is all yours. Do you have any honorable mentions at all?
No, not really.
Well, do 5 through 2.
All right. Well, for me, honorable.
Wait, Olaf. It's Olaf.
Olaf's 5 through 2 because he didn't have honorable mentions.
Oh, okay. Sorry. It's
Wow.
like, all right. It's like, okay, number 5. It's like, Tom Hanks fan here. It's like Big. I like that. That's like that was a good one. Number 4, we'll go with Field of Dreams. It's like number 3, Little Mermaid. I just thought that was loved the animation of that film, so it was just good. And then number 2, Nightmare on Elm Street.
There you go, Robert Englund. He's the man.
And I think I'd like to say that it's like I actually had the opportunity at a convention I was at. I actually have a picture with Robert Englund and Kane Hodder. So I had Jason on one side and Freddie on the other.
I think I saw that picture. I'm so jealous of you.
Yeah,
that is so cool.
It's like Kane. It's like Jason had the machete against my neck, and Freddie had the claws trying to dig in. So it was good.
That's awesome. All right, so honorable mentions, Arpo, and then get to your 5.
Honorable mentions, I would have to include Altered States, and also Amadeus, Caddyshack.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I could probably just look through the 80s. The 80s was just a banner year for films. There were so many good films from the 80s. So I'll nominate all of those except for Holy Moses.
That's blasphemous. All right, so what's your 5 through 2?
Okay, coming in at number 5 from 1989, Driving Miss Daisy. Just a great film full of great performances. The worst film that year, Ted Danson in Cousins, which is based upon the French sex comedy Cousin Cousine, which, Americans just shouldn't do French sex comedies. Period. Coming in at number 4. Number 4, where are you? Oh, yes. Once Upon a Time in America.
Sergio Leone.
Sergio Leone spaghetti gangster film. Only in this case, interestingly enough, instead of Italians, he was concentrating on the Jewish mafia, which was apparently, they make The Godfather look like a bunch of choir boys, I'll tell you what. Worst movie from 1984? Oh. Stinkeroo Rhinestone. Sylvester Stallone sings. Need I say more? Coming in at 3rd from 1988, Mississippi Burning. The true story of the FBI tracking down the killer of the young men who went down to register blacks for voting, and also one of the early movies of my good friend, Kevin Dunn. Worst movie of 1988, Young Einstein. I like to say I've seen all the movies that I put on these lists. I never could get through Young Einstein. It's that bad.
I remember the trailers when I remember the trailers for it. Yeah, and I think I tried to watch it, but yeah, it was terrible.
And then at number 2 from 1985, Kiss of the Spider Woman. Raul Julia in what is probably his greatest performance ever. Absolutely brilliant film. The worst film from that year? Well, we all know Tom Hanks never made a bad movie, right? I give you The Man with One Red Shoe. Once again, this is a movie based on a French farce called The Tall Blonde Man with One Black Shoe, which is really, really funny. Americans just shouldn't do French farce. That's 2 proofs in one list.
Yes. All right. So, Kitty, do you have any honorable mentions?
I do. I have a lot more than I have on the list because I cut it down.
All right.
So I'm going to do my top 5 honorable mentions.
Okay.
At number 5, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Mm-hmm. At number 4, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones. Number 3, Beetlejuice. Number 4, They're Here, Poltergeist. And number 1 on my honorable mentions, and people are probably going to hate me for this, but I absolutely loved the movie, The Fly.
Oh, yeah, The Fly.
Oh, The Fly's good.
Fly was good.
Yeah.
You're just a little Miss Horror Maven, aren't you?
I am. Horror and comedy.
Yes. No, The Fly is good. All right.
I've had other people go, you like The Fly? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
I don't like the scene where he pukes on his donut, but other than that, you know.
Arpo was a cop.
What a waste of a donut!
Arpo was a cop in that former life. All right, so what's number 5 on your list?
Number 5 is The Princess Bride. A lot of fun with that one. And I was a huge Andre the Giant fan. Unfortunately, I never really got to see him a whole lot in the wrestling profession because of when I was born. But I have seen past performances. I've seen what few movies he did do, and he's a saint. He really is. Number 4, Airplane.
Yes. Yeah.
Surely you must be kidding.
No, I'm not. Number 3, Evil Dead.
Right.
Yeah.
And number 2, The Goonies. I cannot wait to hear more news because I've heard that one of two rumors going around: remake and Goonies 2. So I'm waiting to hear more on both of those.
So the Goonies 2 would be all of the Goonies grown up?
Mm-hmm. And the
You know, that way nightmares lie.
All right. So here's my honorable mentions. I have a lot of them. The Goonies, of course, is on there. We have Back to the Future, Harlem Nights, RoboCop, Beverly Hills Cop, The Untouchables, Ghostbusters, Stand By Me, Princess Bride, Blade Runner, Aliens, and Return of the Jedi. All right, I had to get that all out. It's so many great movies from the 80s. So
the 80s was a really great decade for movies. It was hard for me to find bad ones.
All right, so those are just the honorable mentions. All right, here's my number 5 film. My favorite filmmaker of all time is Stanley Kubrick, and one of my favorite of his movies is Full Metal Jacket. So 1987's Full Metal Jacket, classic. If you like Two Live Crew, Be So Horny, the famous, that's where it comes from, a Full Metal Jacket. Great film. Number 4 is the classic film, Raiders of the Lost Ark, which still to this day holds up. You know, I mean, I have fun watching that like I did when I first saw it. Terrific film. Big early Steven Spielberg fan. His early work was fantastic. He was on a roll. Number 3 is one of my films that I love so much. In 1988's They Live. First of all, I'm a huge John Carpenter fan, and that film, I remember my brother made me watch it because he's seen it in the theater, and when it came on video, my brother made me watch it, and I fell in love with that film, and I just recently watched it again, like last week. It's a movie that's gotten more popular over the years. It had Roddy Piper, and it has one of the great fight scenes in movie history with him and Keith David. That fight scene still to this day. If you haven't seen the fight scene in They Live, go on YouTube, check it out. It's awesome. Great film. Still people quote it to this day and all of that. I can go on and on. Number 2 on my list is the classic Eddie Murphy film Coming to America. Arguably his best film to date. I know he's made so many great films.
He's also made quite a few awful films too.
Yes, he has. But Coming to America is like his crowning achievement. It holds up to today. His performance is fantastic, and just a movie that you can watch over and over and over. And I love that movie, Coming to America. I remember seeing it in the theater like a couple of times in the theater, and just a terrific film. So that is my 5 through 2. Yeah, you got to watch it. Like if you haven't seen Coming to America, watch it. There's some great stuff in the film. All right, so now we're finally to our number 1 on the list. So we're going to start off with Olaf. What is number 1 on your list?
It's like number 1 on my list is Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
It's a great movie. People underestimate that movie. They really do.
When you said that, that's why I was like, yes. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? That's number 1. I just loved the whole thing. It was just great. It was just a really good movie. I liked it.
And you had the crossover of the different cartoons, different studios coming in. Because I don't know if we had that before that film.
No.
Where the different studios came together and the characters you never seen interact with each other in the same movie.
And it's really hard to find it after that movie, too.
Right. It's like
just to show I didn't make it up. There's my list, and there it is, right there.
Right there, Little Mermaid. So yeah, that's a terrific film. So okay, so
it's still today one of the best combinations of live action and
animation. Yeah,
2D animation. That's. It's not computer. It's not CGI. So much.
I think the only movie I can think of that kind of had that was that one Cool World.
Yep.
That
was a weird movie. That was a really weird.
Ralph actually didn't make any movies that weren't weird, but you gotta be stoned to watch a Ralph Bakshi animated film.
I love Fire and Ice, by the way, which should have been on my list too. Fire and Ice, one of my favorite movies. All right, Arpa, what's your number 1?
Get the list to pop back up here, and look, there it is, number 1 from 1982. Hey, call me a stuck-up prig, Gandhi.
Okay.
Brilliant performance by Ben Kingsley, playing the man who showed the world that pacifism could speak louder than violence. And the worst movie from that year? The Pirate Movie. A quickie ripoff of the Pirates of Penzance that they got out a year ahead of the actual Pirates of Penzance, I think, hoping that people would think, oh, this must be that movie that they made of the Pirates of Penzance. It used some of the songs from Pirates of Penzance, but changed the lyrics because, let's face it, Gilbert and Sullivan, what do they know about writing songs? Am I right? So there you go.
That's funny. All right, Gandhi. All right. So, Kitty, what's number 1 on your 80s list?
My number 1 on the 80s list is supposed to be technically a B movie. So it's really not. So it's a cult classic. It really is. And some people you either love it or you hate it. My number one is The Gremlins.
Oh, The Gremlins.
Yes.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yes, I was just having a conversation about The Gremlins.
The movie that proved that Phoebe Cates is hot even with all of her clothes on.
Exactly.
So knowing what you know from watching the film, will you take Gizmo home tonight?
Of course I would.
I think Gizmo or Gizmo or some of them are already in my house because, like, shit gets broken like one. How the hell did that happen? That's like I didn't do it, So I think I've already got the
Don't get them wet. Don't feed them after midnight, and keep them in dark areas.
Yeah,
I even remember the rules.
Throw them in the closet.
You know what? My nephews are like that. By the way, so, same rules apply to my nephews.
Yeah, that applies to my grandkids too. But I just throw them in the closet, stick the hose in the and start throwing food in too. So I just keep them in the dark and
hilarious. All right, so my number one film is I'm 39. I'll be 40 at the end of this year, and it's probably number one on a lot of black guys my age list. And it's my second favorite film of all time. My favorite film of all time, unfortunately, was in the 60s, so it wouldn't be on any of these lists, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. My second favorite film of all time is 1983 Scarface, starring Al Pacino.
That is
I've seen that movie 100 million times. I own it on every single platform from beta. I had it on a beta copy. I had a VHS copy. I had a Laserdisc copy. I had a DVD, Blu-ray, and digital download of that film. Love that movie. Brian De Palma is one of my favorite filmmakers. The Untouchables. Some more films that's going to be on my list. But love Al Pacino doing. It's really a terrible Cuban accent, but it's kind of morphed into a Cuban accent. It's the weirdest thing ever.
Say hello to my little friend.
Oh my God!
Harvey Keitel had said that line. We don't have to cover our eyes. Scarface is, it was, I believe it was panned by the critics when it came out, and now it's universally loved, and just a terrific film. And if you haven't seen the masterpiece that is Scarface, that it's been quoted 100 million times in a lot of different ways, and the famous cleaned up version, the world is like what he said, this like a chicken waiting to get plugged. I love that. That's like one of the best cleanup TV versions of that and the Monday Friday plane from Snakes on the Plane. That's like the best cleanup versions of a movie. So my number one list is, in fact, number one on my list is Scarface. So just to recap our list, I'll start off with you. Just real quick, just recap your list one more time, Ola, for the people.
Okay, starting at 10, Fatal Attraction. Fatal Attraction, Arthur, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Driving Miss Daisy, number 6, Stand By Me, number 5, Big, number 4, Field of Dreams, number 3, Little Mermaid, and number 2, Nightmare on Elm Street, and number 1, it's like Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Great list. Arpo.
All right, number 10, Gallipoli. Number 9, Hoosiers. Number 8, Breaker Morant. Number 7, Zelig. I'm a really eclectic guy, aren't I? Number 6, Full Metal Jacket. Number 5, Driving Miss Daisy. Number 4, Once Upon a Time in America. Number 3, Mississippi Burning. Number 2, Kiss of the Spider-Woman. Number 1, Gandhi. And by the way, the worst movie of the entire 80s, Young Einstein.
Wow. That's big for them. All right, so Kitty, what's your, just to recap your top 10?
Number 10, Labyrinth. Number 9, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Number 8, Die Hard. Number 7, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Number 6, Ghostbusters. Number 5, The Princess Bride. Number 4, Airplane. Number 3, Evil Dead. Number 2, The Goonies. And finally, my favorite, The Gremlins at number 1.
All right. And my top 10 is number 10, Die Hard. Number 9, The Terminator. 8, Do the Right Thing. 7, Empire Strikes Back. 6, A Nightmare on Elm Street. 5, Full Metal Jacket. 4, Raiders of the Lost Ark. 3, They Live. 2, Coming to America. And number 1, Scarface. So next week, join us because we will be reviewing the films from the 90s, which was my most favorite. It was my favorite list to make, but it also drove me the most nuts because there was so many great films that came out in the 90s. And it was like, and the 90s was great for me because, you know, I was in high school. So a lot of those films, I was a little older when I saw them, you know, in the theater. And I worked at a movie theater too in the mid 90s. So I saw everything that came out in the 90s, you know, so in the theater. And I was already a movie buff that went to the theater a lot anyway. So it made it even worse. So I can't wait to talk about the 90s. I feel like it's my era of
your era, please. I grew up in the 90s. I went and seen Independence Day in theaters with my grandparents, and I wasn't even 13 yet.
Well, hey, I'm right there with you. So I've seen all of those things. So
in the 90s, I was a little bit older than both of you all.